All right, back with the show. Andre Drummond, Jeremy Lamb, Alex Oriaki, all leaving the UConn basketball program. The Huskies also face an NCAA-sanctioned ban from tournament play. And the future of Coach Jim Calhoun is always an all-season topic of discussion here with Dom Amore, Hartford Courant beat writer, sports writer of the year for 2011-12, right? So congratulations again. Yeah, well, you know,
I was going to get up on the couch and jump around like Tom Cruise.
No, don't do that. We only have 6 minutes, so don't do that.
Yeah, right.
But congratulations, man.
One couch.
So, former baseball writer, do you miss baseball? Baseball season is
you know, a little bit, but you know, when you do this job, you know, you don't really get to pick and choose what you do. You go where you're sent, and you do the best you can with it. And you know, I did baseball for 12 years. I probably did everything that you could do in that. And now it was time for a new challenge. And
quite a challenge.
And it's quite a challenge.
Right? This is probably the most tumultuous season for UConn basketball, maybe ever.
It is,
right?
And the importance of UConn to this market and this paper, you know, really makes it. There's a lot of eyes on you, and you know, people naturally scrutinize you, and rightfully so.
How concerned are they internally? We mentioned before you have defections, 3-4 players gone now, the NCAA sanctions, Jim Calhoun's future. Internally, obviously it's about damage control and recruiting. How concerned are they internally about what happens here?
Well, I think they're very concerned, as they should be. You know, being ineligible for the tournament next season, you know, on paper it doesn't seem like much. All it really means, because you could miss the tournament anyway. And it's really only maybe one or two games in the Big East tournament. So it doesn't make, you know, on paper it's not a big deal, but...
Well, back up, though, because you missed the NCAA, you missed the Big East tournament.
Right.
And the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But you could miss the NCAA tournament even when you're eligible.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, you know, it can be fixed, but it's obviously going to be a very difficult season next year, and it's going to take time to repair the damage done by having a year where you're not eligible.
Raising a good point. The damage can be fixed. The real issue here is Jim Calhoun's age, right? Does he have the energy to rebuild it in 3 or 4 years versus if he were a younger guy, this wouldn't be that big of a deal? Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't think there's any question, Stan, that he has the energy to do it, and he has the desire to do it. But the question becomes, how do you get recruits to commit to the unknown? You know, he's going to be 70 on May 10th. Right. You don't know if he's going to be there 3 years, 4 years, and that's why there's a lot of talk about naming a designated successor, so that you could tell your recruits, if Coach Calhoun retires, this guy, Kevin Ollie, obviously, would be the successor. Does that have legs on it? Is there legs to doing something of that nature? I don't think there's legs right now, because the new athletic director, Ward Manuel, doesn't know Kevin Ollie. He just got here. Right. But I do think that over the course of the next year, as he gets to know, gets to know the coaches, you know, it's possible that he could be more amenable to doing it next year. But having just come in, you know, it's not easy to do. I'm sorry, this is a big deal for the new AD now, right? Because you can't afford to just give this job to anybody. This is a cash cow. This is what brings in money for the operation. You know, it's a hire that's going to define you when you make it. So you really can't fault him. And I think the last time I spoke with Jim Calhoun, I think he felt that you really can't fault him for not wanting to pick his own guy and not necessarily tie his hands as soon as he got in here. So I don't think the coach in waiting thing is going to happen now, but I do think that I think it could happen, you know, perhaps a year from now, because I do think that it's going to be necessary to have that kind of continuity for recruiting purposes. And you have to hope that the recruits will buy into that continuity, right? That they'll buy into that succession plan, because Jim Calhoun's got a strong personality. A lot of people come for him. Right. And will they, even though Kevin Ollie is an accomplished guy, will they feel the same way about playing for him they do for Jim Calhoun? Well, you know what? He's an exceptional talent. And he has an He has an exceptional personality. He's a very, very good recruiter, and I think probably more players than you might think are coming here because of his magnetism. So I do think it could, you know. Now the other side of that, obviously, he doesn't have the head coaching experience. He's only got a couple of years as an assistant under his belt. But I do think that, you know, he may be that exceptional guy who could make that transition. The thing with Ollie, as I see it, is that at some point he will be a really good coach. You can see that. Yes. The question is, does this state have the patience, if he goes through some growing pains, which he's going to go through, do they have the patience to be a mediocre or average team if indeed he goes through those growing pains? Well, there's no question 3 years from now, 4 years from now, he'll be a great coach. It's all there. I mean, you've got to have that patience with him. He's one of their own. He's a UConn player. So you would think that there would be a little bit more of a honeymoon than there would be if you brought in somebody with no with no cachet here in Connecticut.
Well, who gets the honeymoon? Are the administration or the fans? We know the fans have a very short leash. The administration probably has a longer leash than the fans do,
well,
right?
But ultimately one drives the other,
right.
And you'd have to see. But again, for a guy with Kevin's experience to come into UConn as a first job, it would be difficult. I mean,
right.
It wasn't Jim Calhoun's first job, and
right.
UConn wasn't then what it is now.
Right.
But again, we're talking about, at least from what I see, a very exceptional talent, very exceptional personality, and he might be the guy who could pull off that kind of that kind of leap.
I've always said, it's the guy who comes after the next guy. The next guy's going to have heck to pay for being a successor. It's the guy after the guy.
My first pro beat was Bill Parcells, Ray Handley, Dan Reeves.
Right.
You wanted to be Dan Reeves, not Ray Handley.
Right. All right, let's do this then. So let's talk about some of the people who are leaving. Let's talk about Andre Drummond, young guy, still very, very green. Your thoughts on him leaving, and is it too early, and what happens to his future? Because no guarantee that he becomes exceptional in the pros with the talent he's obviously there.
There's no guarantee he becomes exceptional in the pros, but there is a guarantee that he's going to make maybe $5 million guaranteed over the next 2 years.
That's pretty compelling, huh?
And in that case, who's going to turn that down and walk away? Would you?
No,
would
I would not.
You can't. And for what? Even if they were eligible for the tournament, the risk of getting hurt, the risk of maybe not playing well and dropping next year. I mean, there was really just no question that he had to go and take advantage of the situation he was in right now. And the tournament eligibility really has nothing to do with it. I think he was gone in any event.
Yeah, $5 million is real money, though. In the NBA, any pro sport, it's the second contract, not the first one you want. Right? That first one is there. It's the second contract where you get that gravy. Right,
but an 18-year-old kid getting $5 million up front guaranteed.
A lot of gravy, huh?
Well, it certainly would have changed my life at 18.
That's a lot of gravy, Dom. All right, we're going to come back with more of Dom Amore, the Connecticut Sports Writer of the Year. We'll talk about the defections within the UConn men's basketball program and what has become the annual off-season discussion about the future of Coach Jim Calhoun and the program. You're watching the Stan Simpson Show. Catch us online 24/7, ctnow.com/Stan. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, too. Don't go away.